everyone. I just would let everyone know that we are recording. Really appreciate that you're joining us today. Hang on one second and I will get everything going here. Just so everyone knows that we do these workshops. This is number 12. And we do these workshops specifically with the North Central Texas Council of Governments. They've convened a North Texas UAS Safety and Integration Committee, and this task force helps mitigate reckless UAS operations and promote safe integration of UAS technology into the DFW and also other regions. If everyone can mute, I'd appreciate that. I'm about to introduce you to David Kraus today. He is through Influential Drones. He's one of the co-founders. And welcome, David, if you'll come on right now. Specifically, the title of this workshop is Drones in the Market. And Dave has a lot of experience with his company. He has a great process where he evaluates drones. Are you there, Dave?
Yeah, I'm here, Maggie. Thank you for the introduction.
Absolutely.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. It's great.
Awesome. So my name is Dave Kraus. I see a lot of familiar names on this webinar. Thank you for everyone for joining, and thank you, Maggie, and the North Texas Central Council of Government. So my name is Dave Kraus. I'm the co-owner of a company called Influential Drones. I come to this industry pretty experienced in the technology space. Previously, I was a software architect for IBM. So when I come and look at things, I come at it from a different vantage point. Much like drones gives us a different viewpoint on the world, my background in technology gives me a different viewpoint on what I'm looking at. I understand everything from circuit boards to software. A lot of the manufacturers who I've created relationships with, including the software companies, will tell you that I can look at their software and kind of tell them where their gaps are and where they're missing things that could help us as an industry. So I've been involved with Influential Drones for about 5 years now. It was a rocky start, much like all of us. I thought when I was going to get into this industry, I was just going to fly drones for a living. And we all realize it's not really what it's supposed to be. So right now, as I'm sitting here, I'm in a nice, glorious hotel room in Fort Myers, Florida. I was here doing a project for DHS that had concluded just yesterday, and I'm catching a plane back home to Philadelphia, where my office is, later this evening. The organizations that I'm involved in, big shout out to everyone. I'll name them all. CompTIA, I'm the Drone Industry Advisory Chair for the council, which Sharon previously was on. She actually previously led as well. So thank you, Sharon, for laying a good foundation for me. I'm also a part of the Drone Responders Technical Advisories Committee. I sit on the NBAA Emergent Technologies Board, where we talk about everything from drones to urban air mobility to commercial space, which is pretty awesome. I'm also involved with an organization called Ultra, which is located in New Jersey, but we're branching out with the amazing Brain Trust, which I noticed Dawn Zoldi is on. She's listening in, probably cheering out. I'm really a part of everything because I believe that the industry needs to work together. So when I do everything that I do, including the safety team, that's what my goal is. So perhaps some of you saw myself and Dawn on National Drone Safety Awareness Week, where we basically went around just doing a little snippets on promoting the importance of safety. I am one of the assistant course managers for FAAsafety.gov, working with a gentleman by the name of David Baer from the FAA out of the national office. I'm also the industry member for the FAA FAST team, which is a volunteer position, and it also allows me to have a pulse on the industry. So any questions before we dive into this?
Yeah, Dave, just it's Maggie. I think the first question is it sounds like that, you've evolved from just looking at drones in general. And I really want you to talk about, what your procedure is in regards to evaluating drones. But it seems like safety is the number one thing. It's not just the drones, but it's the performance, it's the pilot that's controlling the drone, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, we used to have a saying, and when we used to write programs in software, where it's like the program didn't make a mistake, it was the person who wrote it or the operator. The same thing holds true in the drone industry. There's a thing in manned aviation called human factors, which is the same thing that's going to apply to us in the unmanned industry. So yeah, I'm really focused on safety because as much as I would love to see autonomy, it's more fun to have our hands on and fly that drone. And the only way that we're going to be able to do that is to raise a safety culture and have awareness and make sure we understand the risks and everything take place. So I am a cheerleader for the safety team because I think that's where our industry needs to go and what we need to do way after I do an evaluation of a product or I say this is what I think someone should use or vice versa.
Well, I know there's going to be some people excited about, just the introduction with the DJI, the Mavic 3, and also the Autel. Have you had a chance to look at those drones? And again, love to hear kind of what you look for in a drone and the performance.
So the honest answer, I haven't had my hands on any of that equipment. But as an authorized dealer, I have seen a lot of the previews. I have known about some things, and I have a pretty good relationship with Autel and some of the other manufacturers who I did see this week. DJI was not in attendance, but Teal Drones was, for example. I was looking at the Skydio and a couple other the platforms that a lot of us are curious about.
Yeah, I
So
think those three companies alone are really, head to head with what they're putting out in the market today.
correct. People just, it's in some sense, the drone industry is whoever's got the most marketing dollars. And that's what you think is what's best out on the market. And it doesn't necessarily always come down to that. What I always tell people when they call our office is call our office. Don't answer. Don't just do things on the internet and not talk to somebody who's got hands-on equipment, or, just don't take the word of your neighbor. See what's best for you, because everybody has individual unique needs and things that are important to them when they get in this industry. Yeah, sure, there are people out there that says, oh well, my son's got a drone, and maybe we should buy a drone for our neighbors' kids and stuff like that. And I understand where that's going, and I love that too, because that inspires aviation in the minds of kids, which is absolutely awesome. But a lot of us are using it for commercial. A lot of us are using it maybe even as hobbyists, and we don't have discretionary income to just buy drone after drone after drone and have a closet full. So it's best to buy what's right for us at the right time, and think about the effects of that moving forward. So that's kind of what I do when I look at products.
Do you have a checklist that you do, in regards to doing an evaluation with the drones?
So the joke in my office is that there's a lot of things that are not on paper. It's all in my head. I mean, I've been doing software for over 20 years. So, and I've done everything over the years, doing quality assurance testing, to designing circuit boards, to just designing products start to finish. My job at IBM used to be come in and focus on trouble projects. So when I step into something, I step in where everyone hates me, and hopefully they like me at the end because I've fixed the problem. And I leave and just hand it back to them. I loved it, but it burnt me out. And then, the years following that, I've kind of done things on my own, and it's a little bit more comfortable because it's my own schedule. But the world hasn't changed much for me over the years. I do what I like to do, and I'm good at it. Shout out to, Drexel University and, all the schools that educated me, and all my mentors over the years. It's not like I did this on my own.
So again, you had mentioned that as opposed to, just going out and buying a drone, to utilize resources like influential drones to give the, to hear what you have to say in regards to the performance of the drone. And obviously with drones, there's a general purpose, right? But then you move into, drones that actually can, like the infrared and other tools that can be used. And one of the big things that the takeaway with the UAS UAV Expo was a lot was geared towards mapping and surveying, and also the drone delivery. So I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we're moving into the UAV is moving into more of the, the performance. So do you have recommendations or specific, is your goal to say, okay, if a drone company is claiming they can do this, do you go out specifically and prove it and see if it does what it says it does?
You just opened the door to something pretty amazing. So there's the National Institutes of Standards and Technology, and I'm actually wearing one of their shirts now because I'm an instructor for APSO, which is the Airborne Public Safety Institute Association. Excuse me. We've kind of taken the NIST standard and basically applied it to the industry. So when a manufacturer turns around and says, my product does this, it's now no longer Dave Krause or someone else who has experience like myself. It's now a federal agency that we're putting them up against and saying, okay, let's see. So that's what I did this week. I took platforms and we put them in high hovers, and we saw how good they did. We, ran them through the course after we qualified the pilot. And we basically said, okay, well, if I'm flying at 20 feet or I'm flying at this speed, or this is my range, and what is my real go to home transmission lane, we tested all that. I was on a 504 acre campus, and we had a blast. So that's what I did this week with, some pretty important people in the industry. And it was basically saying, show us what you got and let us prove it.
Do you have a good example of that, by the way, David, so that people understand, what you look for in the performance of a drone? Yes. So that, yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
So if a manufacturer turns around and says that our flight time is 45 minutes, what does that really mean? A lot of times that actually means it's the amount of time it takes for that battery to completely deplete. And as all of us know, we never fly our drone to full depletion. So what are the real numbers? When does it start doing return to home? Well, in some case, they say it's 15% or 20%. Now, all of a sudden, I've only got my flight time of 30 minutes or 28 minutes. So when someone calls me up and asks me, hey, this is what I'm interested in doing, it's okay, well, what is your operating area? What are you trying to do? Are you flying over water? Are you flying over land? Are you flying larger distances? Are you flying high? Are you flying low? And all of that matters because some of these cameras, for example, can't zoom. They don't have the ability of locking on target. They don't have the ability of, let's say, a thermal image. I've talked to the U.S. Forestry Service and made recommendations on them or to them multiple times. There's different U.S. Customs. We've talked to them, Border Patrol, just giving people different guidance. And what I tell people is you don't need to buy from me. Just ask, call us up and get the questions. Come at us with the questions, and we'll just try to guide you.
So, do you publish your findings, and where can we find it if you do?
So Drone Responders is looking to publish findings, and there's a thing called a test matrix, which we've been working on, which Garrett Burrell was one of the original founders and creators of. And as a lot of people know, since we're talking to folks in Texas, everybody knows Garrett. And
he actually did a workshop with us just specifically on first responders. So if you guys haven't seen it, you can go back to the northtexasuas.com and we have it recorded. So yes, we're very familiar with Garrett.
Garrett is awesome. He understands that, the industry is second and public safety is first. And that is what we need more of. We need people who can lead and realize that, okay, what does the end user need? So if you watch some of Garrett's videos, or we go back and, people see this pre-recording that Garrett did, even though I haven't seen it, I know how he talks and how he presents. So I'm confident, Garrett pretty much says, okay, well, this is what the manufacturer is saying. This is what it actually does. And Garrett and I actually developed a relationship early on because as a young dealer for Alltel, I actually called up Garrett and asked him to basically say, hey, can you look at this and tell me if it's true? And he basically just beat it up and sent me videos and said, yes, it is, or no, it's not. And a lot of the early on validations that I did to get myself up to speed came from guys like Garrett. So he's an amazing person. We need more people like him, and we just need to talk about it. So again, I mean, things that I look at, are you in an urban environment? Do you plan on flying a lot? Yes. Okay. So are you using, a drone that has quiet props or loud props?
Hello? Yes.
Hey, please mute.
Hello?
Please mute.
So it's like, is that option available? So unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on if you're a DJI fan or not, they have a lot of the
All of a sudden, I don't know if you guys, it looks like David is stalled. I just put in the chat, FYI, the northtexasuas.com. It's the same one that you guys signed up for, and you'll see Garrett's in there. Yeah, David isn't in a hotel internet, so that might be an issue. Meanwhile, one of the things that I want to talk to David about specifically, he might have to get on his phone. Specifically, I'm really interested in what is in the market right now, especially with DJI, their new Mavic 3. That's one of the capabilities is Zoom, and they have 2 cameras. So I'm really curious of that. I'm sure he's going to join us in a minute. But really quick, Dawn, are you able to come on board? I know that you've done a lot of partnership with David. Are you there, Dawn? I don't know if we can get her on. Okay, so I don't know if you see this, Jeff, but David needs to be a co-host so he can join us.
Oh, okay, stand by.
Thank you so much. And then Alltel came out with a mini. I don't know if you've seen some of that, but it looks, it's more compact and easier to travel with. I'm not sure what the capabilities are. Alltel is really famous for their amazing cameras and their capabilities. So that's going to be really interesting to hear.
Hey
But
Maggie, I can unmute, but the
Hi,
camera's
Dawn.
still locked, which is fine because it's a Saturday morning and
yeah, no
I'm wearing my
worries.
Wonder Woman t-shirt.
No worries.
So
But do you
guys can
mind, yeah, just kind of sharing a little bit about your partnership and what you were trying to convey with the safety?
Yeah, absolutely. So Dave and Influential Drones are a strategic partner of mine at P3 Tech Consulting, and we're both from, we're both Philly. I'm from Philly, and we just kind of had a natural kinship. And plus, we're on the Ultra board together, and we met in human form at Atlanta for the first time at AUVSI. So that was awesome. But yeah, we got together and put together 3-minute or less daily safety videos for the FAA's Drone Safety Awareness Week. As Dave mentioned, he is part of the FAA safety team, and he's actually the industry lead for that team. And so we put them out, partnering with Mary McNabb at Drone Life, and just push them out every single day with the theme of the day from the FAA to help raise safety awareness together. And in fact, that Wednesday, which is my normal Dawn of Drones podcast, every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, Dave was on there with Patricia Mathis, who's the manager, the general manager of the FAA safety team from the FAA. So if you guys haven't seen that video, it was really great because Patricia talked, and Dave talked all about how you guys can plug into the FAA safety team and become members. I know, Maggie, that's something you expressed interest in personally.
Absolutely.
And so go to Drone Life TV on YouTube. I posted the link up there.
Great,
You
thank
can
you.
follow that channel and get the notifications, or you can just go right to the channel and watch all those videos on demand. So thanks for asking, Maggie.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if Dave's not, he might.
I'm back. I'm back.
Oh, great. Hi. Did you hear what we were talking about with
Yeah, I
Dawn?
heard what you were
Okay.
talking about, and as Dawn will attest, that when we went to go film our event for Drone Safety Week, it was right before a hurricane
Oh
or
my
whatever the
goodness.
heck it was, a storm, and I lost power. And sure enough, I'm in a hotel room. I lost power again. So it was just easier for me just to dial in on my phone. I apologize if the
No,
frame is off slightly.
No, it's good. I appreciate, you being resourceful. So thank you so much. I was kind of mentioning when you were off about the two new drones. And I know some people are curious. The Mavic 3 has the 2 cameras and also zoom on that. And I don't know what camera is on the Autel, that little mini, but I'm thinking that the purpose is for traveling more, kind of like what the mini does with DJI. Can you clarify that?
So Autel's response to the Mavic Air 2 and the Mavic Mini is the 2 products that they're bringing to market. It's going to be pretty exciting because, competition is good. And, a lot of people, and, for what I did this week, including the manufacturers, got to see, or the people who were attended, got to see, what the big 2 are battling about. And I think we have some exciting stuff ahead of us, especially when we start getting into package delivery, heavy lifting, and stuff like that. So circling back, hopefully I left you guys in suspense. I don't really know where I left off when I was cut off, but if you can,
it's okay. You were talking a little bit more. Oh God, now I'm not really sure. But can I ask you, one of the responses of the new DJI, the Maverick 3, is the expense. Now I don't know what the retail is. Do you know what the retail is for the Maverick 3?
I don't know what it is. I know what the prices are for the Autel. I'd have to look again for the DJI and see if they actually sent me.
Because I know that there was a lot of comments. They were excited about it, but with the price, price versus performance, what it does, it just didn't seem to add up. Now the Autel, how much is the Autel? Because there's 2 little minis. They look the same, but there's different capabilities. Is that correct?
Yes. So I have to be careful what I share because I'm sure it hasn't been, a lot of stuff isn't public yet.
Well, we love secrets here.
Okay.
I mean, that's why we tune in, because we want some good insight of what's going on in the market.
Tell you what, let's just keep talking and I'll see if I can pull it up. I do have all the specs though.
Okay.
And I'm sure it's not going to be that big, nothing price wise as far as I'm reading.
No worries. But with regards to performance, what are you finding in regards to performance on the 2 new drones?
As far as how they fly, I'm going to imagine
how not necessarily how they fly, but what they claim to do. Like let's give you I'll give you an example. The DJI with the 2 cameras and the zooms. Do you have any insight of what they're claiming? And I understand that you haven't had a chance to do your performance checklist,
right.
But what are you hearing that they claim and why?
So generally speaking, a lot of these manufacturers that are claiming that the product is going to do one thing over the other, I mean, for the most part, they're going to be pretty accurate. It's when you start getting into smart functions, when you start getting into your battery, how long it's truly going to last, that's when you start getting into that gray area. We're at the point now in this industry where, because these guys are competing against each other, they're going to fudge a little bit, but a 48 megapixel camera is a 48 megapixel camera. It's not like you need to, validate if that's true or not. But I do actually have kind of some of the specs on the Autel. I just pulled it up.
Okay.
So you have the Evo Nano, you have the Nano Plus. There's going to be a light series and then a light Plus.
And that's with the Autel, the new
That's with
Autel.
Autel. They're going to be coming in different colors. The Nanos are 12 megapixel.
Can you say that again, Dave? Because there's somebody that needs to mute. Tell us again the pixel.
Yeah, so the Nano they have a 12 megapixel coming with a 30-minute flight time. The Nano Plus has a better sensor, but it's still pretty impressive. The Light series, a 1x1.28 CMOS sensor with a 50 megapixel camera.
And this is for night flying, do you think? Is that what that is specifically made for?
Again, these are primarily drones that are going to be in competition with the Mavic Air. So if you're not going to have a drone that is purposely designed, unfortunately, just for indoor operations, I would love to see it. In order to do that, these manufacturers need to be able to add proper lighting so that the sensors work correctly. But they're not doing that because they're focused on consumer and commercial, who by majority are flying outside.
And what do you see in the market now? Where do you see the people that are actually buying these drones? You're looking at drones that are smaller and more convenient, but of course with the payloads that are coming up, in other words, the delivery services, obviously the drones are going to have to be bigger. And I don't quite see that yet of what's being provided out in the market that are actually going to be able to accomplish it. In other words, drones big enough to carry loads.
Correct. The answer to that is you have to follow the money. And the money is not the future of the industry is in package delivery. The present day market, it's not there yet.
Right.
So you're not going to see these bigger aircraft which I just got a price request for a Matrice 300, for example. People who are buying those bigger aircraft have a purpose. They want to carry something small, or they're using it for public safety. For the vast majority of the industry is looking at those compact portable drones, the ones that are foldable, the ones that will fit into a luggage compartment, the ones that you can throw in a car and you doesn't take up a lot of space. That's what we're seeing a lot of.
Right. And also the cost, it's accessible. So that, for the Matrice 300, what's the price point on that right now?
Ballpark, without me looking, you're going to be around 24 or 25 by the time you're done. The reason being is the batteries are just pretty expensive. They're $700 a piece. You got to buy 2 of them, and before you know it, you just the number's way too expensive. And then on top of that, then you start factoring in that you have to get a camera on top of it, because that's not included. So this mix and match idea, it has potential, but we're just not there yet. The drone industry is so new, and everyone's trying to figure out where they fit in. I like to compare it to software, where you have, back in the day in the computer industry, you have Apple and you have, Dell. And then after Dell, you have Gateway, and you have all these other ones trying to make their mark. Then you have different software platforms for each one. Some of them build in, for example, an Apple computer had the Apple iOS, and it's worked well for them. How many years now? But then you have someone running like a Windows iOS, and that's been going across multiple platforms. I would love to see one of these open source or one of the big platforms really root in the industry so that it just comes straight across and it just affects everybody. If we could do that, this industry would boom, because it's one less area where we're competing against each other. And it's unfortunate. We're probably not going to see it. You have software companies that are trying to figure out where their mold is. And I'm probably going to get in trouble for this whole conversation. But, you know, some of them are greedy. Some of them are taking way too much money than they need to. And you're not going to lie to me. I've been doing software all my life. I know where the profit is, and it's in the end. So you put all your money up front and you're trying to recover it the rest of the way. And some of them are just charging way too much than they should. So that's why the industry's slow. That's why the industry is not where it needs to be. It has to do with safety. It has to do with regulations, but it also has to do with the people in the space. We're not working together.
Looks like Ned in the audience here, Ned Davis, she's my co-host, so we do a lot of Clubhouse. She said that nothing's been really concrete with the Maverick 3 for the price. So that kind of helps you out in regards to not having the resources to understand. Well, I think that the main thing, can you do a little bit more? I mean, when you have something specific, in other words, a drone that says that it's performing, I want to give you an example for like the infrared. Do you bring any experts that, are familiar with infrared and use it daily? Do you bring them on to help you evaluate?
Yes. So when I self-evaluate, I do what I know, but I know my strengths and weaknesses.
Mhm.
There's an infrared company that is around the corner from us, and they actually teach thermography level 1, 2, and 3 classes. And I'll go and ask them, what they think. Or likewise, I'll talk with the public safety agency and see the same thing. But again, I got to fall back to the NIST standard. There are ways to evaluate platforms, and everybody can do that at home. Maggie, it $150, you can put buckets and 2x4s together. You could do it as well. I mean, all of us can do it, and we can help. We can hold people accountable and get the industry moving where we need it to. But
But
yeah,
do you
I
have
don't.
do you have like a resource for that? In other words, kind of a checklist that you can share with the audience by any chance?
Yeah. So when I start out and I look at a product, obviously, if I'm going to spend $1,000 versus $20,000, my expectation is totally different. So the first thing I don't want is a 3D printed aircraft. I want something that's injection molded. I want something that looks good. I want something that's going to basically last in a crash and stuff like that. Now, the only thing I don't test is I'm not purposely crashing drones or trying to see if stuff actually is going to work the way that I need it to. I test the camera system. I test the flight system, make sure that it does what it needs to do. I always test, lost link. I'll turn the controller off in a controlled environment. I'll test GPS. The best way of doing that is, if you have access to a shipping container, just walk in one, see what the drone does. And there's ways to secure your drone so you don't have flyaways when you're doing tests like this. So, and I'm happy to go into that. The guys at NIST use a fishing rod and a fishing line, which is pretty amazing. But yeah, I test all
ingenious. That's ingenious.
Well, you have to weigh it down, because obviously a fishing line is going to blow in the wind. Bobby Yu Yang, I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to him, but him and I have some really good fishing stories since he's a big fisherman. And after one of the events that we were at in Atlantic City, he took me out fishing, and I watched his fishing line blow all over the place. And yeah, so definitely weight your lines down when you're doing evaluations, and know what you're getting into. Departments. So I noticed Mark Colburn's on, and Mark has developed an outstanding program for his department and his agency, which now he's come back to support. Guys like him understand the risk of what's happening in the manned aviation world. So when he helps get programs up and running, he sees what's at stake. For guys like me that don't have that manned aviation background, we're ramping up, and we buy a product and think, okay, it's going to work. Well, what if it doesn't? What if I throw a prop? What if the manufacturer says a drone is shielded and it's not, and now I just got too close and I got to fly away. So again, I'm a huge proponent of NIST. I'm a huge proponent of FAA safety. These are things flying in our national airspace. So, geez, when I test propellers, I spin them. First, I don't even lock them on. So I just lay them in place. Now I spin the props. What happens? How does the drone perform? Now I lock them in place. Take off. Abruptly force the drone down. How does the drone respond? Try to pull forward, force a landing, and drag the drone across the ground. Does the drone lean forward? Do my legs get stuck? Am I sliding? Why does that matter? Because nobody is a perfect pilot. So if I'm making a recommendation to somebody and someone calls me up and says, will this do this? They're basing that recommendation on me. And if I don't test it, then I'm no better than someone just reading off a manufacturer document. There's a video of me on YouTube scanning, putting Fox Fury products through, or boiling it in a lobster pot. I put it through X-ray machines. I've dropped that thing in swimming pools. I've driven over it with cars. There's another video of me on Instagram of me taking Swell Pro and just purposely back to back, just crashing it right into the water, to the point where I got a Skype message from Swell Pro asking me not to do that. That's fine. I love when a manufacturer tells me to do that, but they're not the ones responsible or giving a recommendation when someone's calling.
Yeah,
They,
ultimately, it's the operator that is responsible, the operator of the drone.
It's the operator of the drone.
Mhm.
And then what happens is, if they have a problem, who are they calling? They're calling the service provider. They're asking for help. They're not, in most cases, they don't call the manufacturer and say, I got this problem, I got this problem. That's why companies like Best Buy have, like, what's it called? The I don't know. They're the program where they drive in vans. It's because the major manufacturer or major supply houses have recognized that when a customer has a problem, they come back to the place where they bought it from, the Geek Squad. Thank you, Evan.
Thanks, Evan.
So,
Yeah.
just consider each manufacturer or each manufacturer, the manufacturer, and each authorized dealer a Geek Squad member. We should know what we're talking about. So,
Right.
and I, for one, I put my money where my mouth is, and I make sure that if I'm going to recommend something, that it works.
One thing that you haven't mentioned yet, and I know that there were some issues, and I'm curious to see what issues you've come across, but the battery and starting a fire, actually, burning the drone itself, or it ejecting from the drone in the air. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Are we talking about Parrot?
Parrot, I know that Skydio has had some issues with it locking in, the battery actually locking in, and I've seen a lot of posts regarding, hey, what happened here? My drone started on fire.
I'm going to choose my words on this one, but I'm just going to say that I was blacklisted as a Parrot dealer for actually not recommending their product at one point. And another dealer was. So when, unfortunately, in the public safety space, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, they have a lot of headaches. They have a lot of stuff they got to go through. And, they need this 3-bid process to try to get the best price. Well, one of them actually asked me to recommend a Parrot product, and I wouldn't do it. And then they went back to the other dealer and said, why not? Or, why didn't you tell us? And then the other dealer complained to the manufacturer, and I got in trouble. So I'm going to speak in hypotheticals.